control, their incompetence has led to mountains of uncollected rubbish piling up on every street, so vast that it can be seen from satellites orbiting space. It is nothing short of a disgrace and a damning indictment of Labour's inability. Mr. Speaker, this Labour government has failed the British public at every turn.
Have you ever watched an MP both physically and politically dismantle Keir Starmer so fiercely that he couldn't even raise his head, let alone respond? Imagine an MP delivering strike after strike until Starmer was left shaken in silence, utterly crushed. The clash became so intense that the Speaker was forced to step in, not to bring order, but to preserve what little remained of Starmer's dignity as Prime Minister. So who dared to pull this off? What exactly did this bold MP say and do that left Keir Starmer struggling for breath and scrambling for words? In this video, let's uncover the details. It started as an ordinary PMQ, with MPs directing questions at Keir Starmer. Everything seemed routine until this independent MP, Ayub Khan, seized the floor, stunning everyone present. The instant he stood up, it was clear he wasn't there for trivial remarks. He was ready to tear down Keir Starmer right in front of him and his Labour colleagues.
Henry, I never ceased to be amazed at the way that politicians think that we're all absolutely and utterly stupid, to the point where they do these little videos to make out like, oh, we're so friendly and we know so many local people that we're going to go and prove ourselves to be very, very friendly with them, and they're going to love us. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, you feel a bit sorry for them, to be honest. Back 100 years ago, before the invention of moving pictures, they could just be their sort of odd, slightly aristocratic selves,
yes, and
nobody really minded, and they addressed people from a stage. But now we live in an age when people expect that kind of not intimacy necessarily, but they expect people to be making that sort of connection. But at the same time, because cameras are everywhere now, because anything can be tweeted or filmed and put on the internet, they have to stage manage it to within an inch of their lives because, in fairness, how do the media treat a gaffe, right? If you have a politician who actually meets a voter in an uncontrolled context,
yes,
their poor spads are tearing their hair out.
Starmer doesn't lead. He oversees Britain's downfall while pretending to be a statesman. The MP strikes him with a direct hit to the core.
They have abandoned the WASPy women, leaving them without compensation they deserve. They have turned their backs on pensioners by failing to support the women.
They abandoned pensioners by refusing to stand with the women. Then he unveils the long catalogue of Starmer's failures, beginning with the WASPy women's betrayal, the cold and deliberate harshness of Starmer's Labour. The WASPy women, who were denied their rightful pensions after a lifetime of work, have been dismissed as nothing more than an inconvenient afterthought.
The WASPy women fought one of the most sustained and passionate campaigns for justice that I can remember, year in, year out. We did promise them that we would give them justice. I understand the issue about the cost, but does the Prime Minister really understand how let down WASPy women feel?
I do understand the concern, of course I do. I set out the history, Mr. Speaker, but the research is clear that 90% of those impacted did know about the change. And in those circumstances, the taxpayer simply can't afford the burden of tens of billions of pounds of compensation. But I do
see it clearly. The WASPy women placed faith in the system, and Starmer, with his false sympathy and empty pledges, simply abandoned them. This isn't a small mistake, it's a moral collapse. And the MP dragged it out into the open. Not only him, even Labour MPs went after the government on this matter.
Well, I think it's fair to say, Ali, it was a combination of being shocked, stunned, angry, and in no small measure disappointed.
You say you're disappointed. I mean, you've been an MP for, a few months. Mm-hmm. Did you expect to be on TV saying that you're disappointed with the government this quickly?
Certainly not. Yesterday's decision, as much as it was a shock, it's completely wrong. This is a historical injustice that WASPy women have faced. We campaigned in opposition to correct that injustice, and now that we're in power, we really should...
Yet the courageous MP didn't end there, holding a list in his hand. Starmer could sense it, swallowing hard. Then he shifted to the winter fuel payments, Elderly people are shivering. Some are actually losing their lives.
It was his decision, and his decision alone, to award a train driver on £65,000 a pay rise of almost £10,000. And it was also his decision that a pensioner living on just £13,000 will have their winter fuel allowance removed. So can the Prime Minister explain to Britain's low-income pensioners why he has taken money away from them whilst at the same time given more money to highly paid...
May I remind him that we took over complete disorder from the opposite party?
And I remind him that we inherited absolute chaos from the party opposite. We lost an average of 3 million working days a year to strikes under his watch. And you cannot fix the economy if the trains don't work, and you can't fix the economy if the NHS isn't working. And when it comes to winter fuel payments, they're having a competition, as I understand. They're going to be voting later on today. Well, his shadow housing minister, we found this. She's the favourite, I think. Some of them will be probably voting for her this afternoon. She said, her words, I have people in my constituency telling me they don't need winter fuel payments. Why do we not have a more sophisticated mechanism for mean testing? That's the favourite, I think, in the contest. That £22 billion of money is a huge amount to find in a year.
Yeah.
But by leaving it, not doing it, in my view, we ran the risk of losing control of the economy. And if there's one thing which, in my view, has hit pensioners harder than anything in the last few years, it's when inflation went through the roof,
right,
because the last government lost control of the economy. I'm not going to let that happen to pensioners ever again.
I want to introduce you to Chrissy. She's a pensioner who's a regular viewer of Good Morning Britain. She has got in touch with us. She was an NHS nurse for 25 years. She's on the full state pension, which puts her just a few pounds over the threshold for pension credit. Yep. She's about to lose her winter fuel allowance. She has arthritis. She estimates her fuel bills are about to go up by £40 a month this winter, and she is dreading it because she does not feel she's going to be able to put the heating on. She voted for you, but she feels let down. Would you like to take this opportunity to say sorry to pensioners like Chrissy?
Well, I am really concerned that we've been put in this position. Mm-hmm. When you inherit an economy with £22 billion missing, it is a really difficult set of choices.
You see, Starmer harmed pensioners and refused to apologize when given the chance. Do you know what a real hard choice looks like? Deciding between heating and eating at 80 years old. But Labour under Starmer believes financial respectability matters more than human survival. This isn't leadership. It's abandonment disguised in a suit and tie. The MP just exposed it. Labour has no soul remaining, yet he carried on. Before moving ahead, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share, and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive updates on the historic shifts taking place in British politics. Let's move forward now.
They have let down children by keeping a two-child benefit cap in place, and they will inflict further hardship on the most vulnerable by slashing $5 billion from this.
Starmer is aware this policy drives children into poverty. He knows it's unfair, yet he holds on to it. Why? Because he's desperate to appear tough and electable for the Daily Mail audience.
And that's why we're having a row at the moment about tough choices. Yep. Because we need the stability in our economy is absolutely vital as a stepping stone to getting onto those missions.
So when people say, look, you should be making all these spending commitments and...
Well, my first reaction, we keep saying collectively as a party, we've got to take tough decisions. And in the abstract, everyone says, that's right, Keir. And then we get a tough decision. We've been in one of those the last few days saying, well, I don't like that. Can we just not make that one? I'm sure there's another tough decision somewhere else that we could make. But we have to take the tough decisions. And this isn't some sort of reflection on some focus group that says, we'd like Labour to have an economic straitjacket on. It's the fundamentals. Liz Truss was very different to others. She proved the thesis that if you make unfunded commitments, then the economy is damaged and working people pay the price.
Right, that could be tax or spending, right?
That could be tax. For her, it was unfunded tax cuts, but it could be unfunded spending. So if you want proof that unfunded commitments cause economic damage, which is then, visited on working people, you've got to...
He is so fixated on avoiding backlash from right-wing commentators that he's ready to sacrifice children on the altar of appearances. Labour once defended the vulnerable. Now it harms them. And this MP declared it openly. Something Starmer's inner team pretends does not exist. Then the MP turned to Starmer, cutting $5 billion from benefits.
And will he also today calm anxieties that he himself has raised for many of us, that the disability benefits for people who simply cannot work will not be cut?
Mr. Speaker, we will, of course, as I've just said, the principles, we will, of course, support those who need support, but also help those who can work into work. They'll be the guiding principles. But what we've inherited is shocking, and they ought to be silent. 1 in 8 young people not in education, work or training. That is a lost generation. That is their inheritance. They've got plenty to say now. They did nothing for 14 years and left this in terrible...
What Starmer declared is that disabled people depending on welfare benefits will no longer receive them. Plain and direct. Starmer has taken the most cynical chapter from the Conservative handbook and run with it. He is out-Torying the Tories. And let's be clear, these aren't efficiency cuts. These are real individuals, disabled, single parents, and the working poor, who will suffer so Starmer can appear as a responsible manager. This is betrayal wrapped in a blue tie. The MP didn't hold back, and neither should the rest of us. He continued landing more blows.
Benefits, but perhaps the most immediate and visible failure, one that poses an immediate and direct health risk to the people of Birmingham, is the appalling financial mismanagement of Labour-run Birmingham City Council. After more than a decade of Labour control, their incompetence has led to mountains of uncollected rubbish piling up on every street, so vast that it can be seen from satellites orbiting space.
Labour MPs could be heard shouting because the MP's words struck exactly where it hurt most. The crown jewel of Labour's local disaster zone, Birmingham, has been reduced to a dumping ground under their rule. Not just mismanaged, it collapsed. Years of reckless spending, bureaucracy, and arrogance have driven the city into bankruptcy. Starmer wants to govern the nation, but can't even handle a major city. The MP doesn't just point it out, he frames it as a warning. If Labour can ruin Birmingham, what do you think they'll do to the rest of the UK?
Birmingham is officially broke. The City Council, the largest local authority in Europe, is effectively bankrupt. Services for more than 1.1 million people are now under threat, and the Labour leadership under pressure to explain and apologise.
For anybody who's suffering across the city, anything that impacts them that the council has done wrong, we'll hold up our hands and we will say sorry for. We've seen local government being cut. We've had the council itself has lost over £1 billion worth of funding as a result of consecutive Conservative governments. This has been ongoing. It's not...
Under Labour's watch, Birmingham has turned into a dystopian nightmare. And Starmer hides behind hollow slogans and PR tricks, pretending it isn't his responsibility. But it is. His party, his command, his failure.
Think short of a disgrace and a damning indictment of Labour's inability to govern. Will the Prime Minister take urgent action to protect the public health and the people of Birmingham by immediately deploying the...
Order. We're meant to ask a quick question, otherwise...
We're supposed to ask a brief question otherwise. The MP hammering Starmer pushed it so far that the Speaker had to step in just to let Starmer save face. But the harm was already done. Starmer could rehearse every talking point he wished, but the MP revealed a core truth. Starmer isn't fit to govern. Not in cities, not in councils, not in Downing Street.
Well, I've said the situation in Birmingham Council is completely unacceptable, but he might want to tell his constituents that we've delivered 2 million extra appointments for the NHS, so waiting lists are coming down for his constituents. We've delivered the national living wage, a £1,400 increase, including for his constituents. We've got record investment into this country, growing the economy, including for his constituents.
And how did Starmer react? Pathetic. Utterly pathetic. Starmer's government is rightly accused of abandoning children, pensioners, women, the poor, and entire cities. And his reply? A weak list of half-formed statistics. And the irony? Most of those so-called achievements are smoke and mirrors, announcements recycled from Sunak's time, delivery pushed into the future, with conditions so dire they barely touch the real need. He doesn't answer the charges. He dodges them because he has no spirit left to fight with. Do you agree with the MP that Labour's performance is a disgrace? Isn't it true Starmer simply isn't the man who can lead Britain toward growth and prosperity? In the comments below, share your view on whether Keir Starmer should face this kind of hammering every day from MPs so he finally realizes what he's doing. Do you want to see more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share and subscribe to get more updates on British politics and the changes shaping it. Until next time, stay tuned.